Our next speaker is Lieutenant Commander Michael Petersen, United States Navy, retired. Lieutenant Commander Petersen served 27 years in the naval service. He served both as enlisted and an officer. 7 years active duty, to include the Navy Seawolf helicopter squadron in Vietnam, the most decorated squadron in Navy history. He flew 269 combat missions, receiving 17 air medals and the Purple Heart. He completed cruises in the Mediterranean and served as a flight instructor and flight leader, eventually transferring to the Naval Reserve. After leaving active duty, he became a home builder and real estate developer in Pensacola, Florida, eventually returning home to Minnesota, where he opened an insurance business. Today, his passion is teaching young people that the price of freedom is not free. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Vietnam veteran Michael Petersen.
Thank you, Mr. Knotts. Fellow Americans, when I received the invitation from Mr. Knotts to be one of your speakers today, this Memorial Day, at this solemn place, I broke down and wept. How could I do justice to the more than 87,000 brothers and sisters whose names are etched on this holy wall? How could I do justice to my 44 Navy squadron brothers who came home wrapped in our red, white, and blue? How could I do justice to the loved ones, the moms, the dads, whose tears flow like rivers at these hallowed grounds? How can I? How can we? We can remember. We must never forget. Today is Memorial Day. Today is the day that we recognize, honor, and remember all of those men and women who have served this great nation and died for our country. Today, we remember our fallen. I remember August 19, 1968. I was the officer of the deck of our 2-helicopter light fire team stationed at Army Airfield, Vinh Long, Vietnam. That morning, Warrant Officer Eugene Tinnen, Juliet platoon leader of SEAL Team 1, came to brief our fire team on an ambush that they were planning against hostile Viet Cong that night. 01:30 hours that night, the radios came alive with blood-curdling radio transmissions from the SEALs. The SEALs needed help from a deadly exchange of gunfire. Our gunships were not designed for medical evacuation, as they were overloaded for attack missions. As we lifted off on that black night, none of us knew what we were going to face. Knowing that an evacuation was impossible because of our heavy weight, we lightened our birds by firing 28 2.75-inch folding fin rockets into the black night over the Mekong River. We also pushed overboard approximately 18,000 rounds of 7.62, which was most of our protection. As the SEALs popped green smoke to identify their position, we made an approach to an unknown situation. The landing site was barely wide enough to keep our rotor blades from hitting the surrounding tree line. after the first bird landed, of which I was one of the pilots, our gunners ran to help the bloodied SEALs. One dead was placed aboard, and other wounded SEALs crawled in. We lifted off, and not a shot was fired. The second bird landed as we provided overhead cover. That gunship also took on wounded SEALs and then lifted off to evacuate to Dong Tam Army Hospital. Sadly, the next morning, we learned that Eugene Tinnen died from friendly fire. This Memorial Day, along with all Americans who have given their all, I remember my friend, Warrant Officer Eugene Tinnen. A few years ago, I started hearing that there are Americans who do not love America. They need safe places because words might hurt them. Some won't stand for our national anthem, and some will even burn our American flag. For those Americans who don't understand the price that men and women have paid for their freedom to not love America, to kneel when our national anthem is played, and to burn our flag, I want them and those who love America to think about this anonymous writing. It is titled, "It is the Veteran." It is the veteran, not the preacher, who has given us freedom of religion. It is the veteran, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press. It is the veteran, not the campus organizer, who has given us freedom of speech. It is the veteran, not the lawyer, who has given us the right to a fair trial. It is the veteran, not the politician, who has given us the right to vote. It is the veteran who salutes the flag. It is the veteran who serves under the flag. And it is the veteran to be buried by his or her flag. God bless all our men and women serving on active duty today, standing in the gap to protect you and me. And God bless all the military heroes who have paid the ultimate price, preserving freedom. Freedom known by no other nation in history. We remember this Memorial Day. Welcome home.
Thank you, Commander Petersen.